Welcome to East Coast DNA. Today we have two guests representing one band, but there's quite a long history here. So each of them has their own path that kind of ebbs and flows out of the band, the Skydiggers. So welcome both to Andy and Josh.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Darcy.
Darcy. Good to be here.
So first of all, anybody that wants to get into like a real big deep dive into the band and the individuals that make up the band, I do want to give a quick shout out that you have a podcast that kind of gets into that area as well. So, Employee of the Myth.
That's right.
Correct.
Yeah. So I definitely recommend that people go dig into that. I started to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole there in preparing for this and decided that maybe it's best for some of my viewers to go out there and check it out themselves because there's a lot to review. And as I mentioned, the band itself dates back to 1990. So maybe before we get into what you're up to now, if we could jump back just for a little bit, how did the two of you originally meet? Because you've been collaborating this entire time, and I'm sure in 1990 you didn't just suddenly meet and record an album. There's a little bit of a history that goes into the 80s.
And further, yeah,
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we grew up together.
Okay.
we grew up in the same neighborhood in Toronto. So we've known each other since about 1970.
Wow, okay. And what has been the glue that has kept the duo together all this time?
Our parents,
Yeah.
Yeah.
our parents were friends, and
Okay.
and yeah, I that is a good question. We just we have just I don't Josh, help me now.
Well, we Andy and my brother were a couple of years older than I am, and they knew each other originally. Like they hung out, they played hockey together. And in high school, um, I started playing music in a band, and Andy at that point was in university, and we did some gigs together. He was going to university in Hamilton, and we did the my high school band at the time did some shows in Toronto that they played with us, and I think we played down in Hamilton with them. So I mean that was sort of a musical connection between us, and then that band that I played in high school with, we moved over to London, England for a couple of years. And when I returned, when that dissolved, I returned. Andy's band that he was playing with was also kind of petering out, and we started playing music. And that would have been around 1986, 87 ish, around that era. And we started out as a duo. We had both played in bands where we've told this story a million times, but just having an acoustic guitar and two voices was easy to travel with, and the band really kind of evolved out of that, and in combination of Andrew Cash, who Andy was singing with at the time, had a weekly residency at a venue in Toronto that he used to let us come up, Andy and I, do a couple of songs, and that it just sort of grew from there, and the band really evolved through us, um, slowly. And I mean, the band proper probably started in 1988. Our first recording came out in 1990.
And now, the history of the band being that long, there's quite a bit that we could get into. But like, I mean, in the 90s, you definitely had a lot of traction. Like anybody that followed Canadian music was definitely fully aware of the band. I remember it was a few years ago for me as well. So I do remember the band touring around back in the day and being featured on things like Much Music. I'm curious though, as the 90s went on, a lot of bands that would be kind of in a similar category where you were getting that exposure and traction and support here in our country. things started to fizzle off for a lot of bands, and we've lost a lot of bands over the years because they just didn't have the exposure to keep going on. But you've each found your own avenues outside of the band to kind of contribute to the industry as a whole. And I'm just wondering if the band itself is kind of supported by the fact that you have always kept your fingers in the industry somewhat as well, so that you kind of have a back and forth, that there's the industry side. I know, Andy, you were involved with Maple Music, which I unfortunately I tell the younger generation about it all the time, and they don't know what I'm talking about. I know it's been rebranded and still exists in some form today, but back in the day of purchasing CDs online, I definitely frequented the Maple Music site, and there was a lot of exclusives because of the label. And Josh, yourself, work with Gord Downey turns into philanthropy. So I think maybe if we start with you for a minute, Josh, do you want to give a little bit of a background and what it is that you do as far as the philanthropy?
Well, if you're specifically talking about the association with Gord Downey, so I'll assume that everyone knows who Gord Downey is on your packet, singer in the hip, and Gord did from 2001. Gord started doing solo records, and we had played with hip and gotten to know them early on in the 90s, 1990 specifically. I did a lot of those solo projects with Gord's, most of them, in fact, and toured with them. And when he got sick, he did the final tour with the hip, and then after that, he did a tour for his record Secret Path, and I was part of that live band and did some shows with him for that. So that philanthropy, I think, often, what one of the things that happened was that he started an organization with the Wenjack family, which is the Secret Path was a recording about Shani Wenjack, who was a young native boy who ran away from a residential school and passed away trying to get home. And Downey Wenjack is an organization that does a lot of outreach to schools across the country. It's in, I've lost track of how many schools it's part of the curriculum that they use. The uh, the book that he created with Jeff Lemire, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what do you call these books? The
Oh, graphic
graphic novel.
novels.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just flat out say comic book because I followed Jeff's career as well.
okay. So anyway, I mean, I think that's what you're referring to specifically. So I will go when we tour and we have a couple of days off, I'll go and do some and Andy's done them with me too, go into schools and just talk about Gord and talk about my experience at the Secret Path, and other collaborations and things have evolved out of that. I mean, Andy and I also do a lot of, we participate in a lot of benefits, and people ask us to come and do that. And when it makes sense and when it's something that we feel like is really a positive event and organization, we can lend our time to them. So
That's very admirable to keep that up too, because it's absolutely something you don't have to do, but it is nice to keep involved and kind of honor that memory as well, because that was a big part, especially near the end there.
mhm.
But now, Andy, I touched on the Maple Music. What I kind of wanted to get into with you, a lot of people that follow my show, and a good percentage of the artists are newer artists or people that are just entering the scene, regardless of their age. But I do get asked a lot of questions off the side as far as ideas for helping them promote themselves or how to finance themselves through like what should they sell, what should they have for merchandise, and what should they do for like should they bother to release vinyl or should they just stick with Spotify? And I champion Bandcamp quite a bit, which is the go-to for a lot of independent artists these days. But
Mhm.
in my memory, Maple Music was like the physical media version of what Bandcamp is digitally today. So for yourself, I think that you'd maybe have a little bit of a unique perspective, having been around the whole time and worked on the side of an artist trying to do that yourself, and then
Mhm.
working, helping other artists have a market for their material.
Mhm.
How have you seen the industry as far as, let's start with the mid to late 90s where things did start to switch over, and then we had a digital era, which you got involved in. But as far as physical media, you must have seen that it was huge at ridiculously high sales levels. And nowadays it has a little bit of a resurgence. So how has it been from your point of view as far, I know 30 years is a long time to kind of compress.
Yeah, it's been very interesting because when we released our first album, we wanted to release it on vinyl. The label that we were with at the time convinced us that they could use that money that they would spend making vinyl in better in marketing and promotion. And so they manufactured CDs and cassettes, including singles. Uh,
Yes.
so, that's where we started. We started at the end of the vinyl era. And then the labels killed off vinyl because they could make more money selling CDs and at the same uh, royalty rates that they had for vinyl. Um, but then, I think also when we were starting out, the steps to a career in music were kind of more obvious.
Hmm.
You started out playing in a 50-seat club. You got all your friends there. Then you would graduate. You'd try and do some touring. You might spend your own money, invest in making a recording. Now it's so far from that. I mean, Josh and I have these conversations all the time about what format we should be uh, manufacturing when we make a new recording, what sort of merchandise we should make. What are people interested in? And the experience with Maple was it was great to be on the other side of the equation and to see what people talked about, because Maple started out as an e-commerce site.
Hmm.
It started out as a portal for Canadian music and merchandise to be sold online. And within a year or two, we realized, well, there's an opportunity here to actually become a record label selling Canadian music. So we started off with I think, an East Coast band. Our first release was with Ishkabaha. And then our second release, I believe, was the Sam Roberts EP. And then Kathleen
Edwards.
Edwards. Thanks.
Yes.
You see, that's the glue that keeps us together. Is that Josh has been saving my ass for all these years. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. So the company morphed and had all these different tentacles, and I think if anything, what I'm proudest of, and Skydiggers were involved in starting the company, and we still own a small part of it. So um, I think the thing that I was proudest of was the I think we brought confidence into or back into, because the late 80s, early 90s, when we were starting out, there was quite a wave of Canadiana going on. And I think Maple was part of another wave, a
Hmm.
subsequent wave of Canadiana that once again, it was, listen to what your neighbors are doing because they're doing something pretty great. It's not just what's going on in Britain or the US or other parts of the world, but there can be some pretty great stuff happening just down the street. So it's certainly, things have changed significantly over the past 35 years. I would say that is true. But, when you hear something good, you hear a good song or a good artist, that hasn't changed. It's still
Yeah.
a thrill.
I love it when I know that they're from my backyard, obviously, based on the fact that I would have a podcast that features East Coast artists, but the Canadian, well, CanCon in general is something that I've always championed. And I think maybe some of the newer artists that are on the scene maybe don't even realize so much what a difference it has made over the past couple decades. Because nowadays we can name off 5 or 6 names pretty easily that are like internationally known.
Mhm.
And in the past, I mean, you could, but it would depend on what genre you were speaking to or what demographic you were speaking to. And now there's some pretty much universally known pop artists that are out there. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see the change, but I think, especially in our current era, just the way things are in the world scene, that it's still important that we kind of set our eyes on what we're producing here in Canada as far as music goes, and supporting each other as artists out there too is always a big thing.
Mhm.
So your new album, we're jumping over like decades of content here, so I definitely think there's lots of room for any new fans to dig into Skydiggers. But for the new album, you put a different group together, maybe some artists that you worked with in the past. But I also noticed, like in the writing credits, there's a few different names there as well. But the part that excited me the most was the Bathouse was where you recorded, and it sounded like it was kind of. I have a little bit of romanticized vision of how things work in the arts world, and despite being a few years into digging under the covers, I still like to daydream that when a band records an album, they get away and write the album together and record it. And it sounded like you basically did that. You spent some time at the Bad House and wrote and recorded it there rather than bringing a bunch of pre-written material to hash through. So
Well,
yeah, tell me about that.
well, it's the Bathouse. It's Bath, Ontario,
Oh, okay.
but it's spelled Bathouse, so you're not incorrect in the. It's just the way they ended up. They left out the second H, I guess. And it's the Tragically Hip Studio.
Hmm.
It's about a half hour from Kingston on Lake Ontario, a place that we've recorded at lots over the years, and I had recorded with Gord there and produced other records there for people. So it's a very familiar and it is a very romantic place. Like it's all those things. It was created by the Tragically Hip. By musicians for musicians, and it's a residential studio. Um, we did we did write the songs prior to getting there, so the way this record came to be was that we had a couple of dates in Eastern Ontario, and we had 5 days off in between those days. And about 6 weeks prior to doing those shows, we thought, rather than coming back to Toronto, maybe we should go to the Bathhouse if it's available, and it was available, and so we kind of put our heads together and started coming up with some material. And Michael Johnston, who's played with us for years, wrote 3 songs with Andy, and he wrote a song with myself. And Jesse Bell Smith, who's been singing with us for I'm not sure how long, 15 years, maybe more, um, uh, uh, wrote and sang a couple of songs on the record as well. So, we I don't think we knew that we are going to record 14 songs in 4 or 5 days. That happened really more by chance, I guess. And the band was really great, and we did have this material prepared. So that was, I mean, everything your vision of a romantic notion of going and writing and recording a band as a band is not too far off, except we did prepare the material prior to getting there. We didn't really rehearse it, but we did have some songs together before going to the studio.
And a side note, I could have researched this a little more and probably figured a few threads together, but Aaron working with this as well. He was down in Prince Edward Island for some time as well, because I covered Music PEI week this year, and he was up nominated for an award, maybe more than one actually. But how did you get working with him? Because I know he's originally from the Ontario area, so was he just up on tour with you at the time that you went in to record, or did you bring him up from PEI, or has he relocated already?
Uh, he was still in PEI at that time, but Aaron started playing with us probably about, I don't know, Josh, about 8 years ago
Mhm.
or so, when he's available. And I mean, we just knew him from around the Toronto scene, and
Hmm.
he's a very talented guitarist and piano organ player as well. Um, so yeah, just having Aaron on board is always, it's a bonus for sure.
And with, I mean, not just Aaron, but all the names that you mentioned and everyone that's credited on the album, you have quite a bit of talent that has their own deep histories as well.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Tom Wilson listed in there. Is
That's right. Yes, Tom. I wrote a song with Tom and his son Thompson Wilson. Here we chase the sun is the name of the. I mean, another. Again, for all these years that we've been playing, Tom was another collaborator and musician that both Andy and I have known for probably 40 years now. Hamilton guy that we've he did a bunch of records with Michael Timmons called Lee Harvey Osmond, and I wrote a bunch of songs with Tom and played on two or three of those records with him. Yeah, so and that I've just continued writing with Tom and his son Thompson. Is they're doing a lot of stuff together. They're collaborating and going out and doing shows together now. So yeah.
so with all the different collaborations that you've had over the years and all the different contacts that you have in your networks, when you go on tour, I imagine that there's quite a familiar faces that are not just available for you to visit while you're in town, but there's probably a lot of people that are showing up at the shows that may be familiar to some of your fans as well. So, do you have people popping up on stage and joining you for collaborations while you're on tour, or is it more they're stopping by to give you a pat on the back after the show and maybe catch a few minutes to chew your ear?
Yeah. Uh, I think mostly when we run into members of our community on tour, it's kind of a bonus because usually they're working too. So to be in the same place at the same time is a bonus. But
Hmm.
um, usually it's just a visit. Occasionally we'll arrange if we know far enough in advance someone is going to be in town, then we'll arrange for a collaboration on stage. But I'd say more often than not, it's a visit.
Yes. And now, since we're on the topic of performances too, you do have a slew of dates that are coming up. So by the time people are watching this, you will have already kicked off the tour. But then you have a hometown show at the end of the month. So there's a date in Toronto.
Yes, at the Venerable Concert Hall, a fantastic venue. We're doing an album. I mean, all these shows are really album release parties.
Uh,
But we're doing one at the concert hall on the 31st, and then we head east.
Yeah, so I'll list the East Coast states down below in the description for anyone that's watching this. But you do have a few dates where you're doing a good circle around the whole area here before you head back up and continue the tour in Ontario.
Yeah, I think after the dates in St. John, Halifax, and Charlottetown, I think we've got a bit of a break until the fall. We have
Okay.
a couple things over the summer, but then we resume in earnest in September.
And are you bringing anyone out on the road with you for these dates?
No, we're not.
So people
I
are
mean, we
treating nice full exposure of the band.
yeah we often do two sets because especially when we have a new recording, we want to play as much material as makes sense from that, as well as we have a catalog that's 35 years deep. So
Well, that was something I was going to get into as well, as far as what people can expect from the upcoming live shows. The new album itself, when I was listening through, it does kind of vary significantly throughout the album as far as ebbs and flows into different genres. I mean, you could try to put a general category of some type of folk rock on it, but I can definitely hear a lot of different nuances as you come in and out of the tracks. But that combined with, is it 19 albums that you have all together? Like, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a
yeah,
lot of music. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what can people expect? Do you break up the sets so that you have like a set of like a greatest hits and then a set of new material, or do you play it based on audience reaction as you go along? Because it sounds like the players, you can kind of jump in and out of stuff with the seasoned players that you have in your band.
Yeah, the band is terrific and very nimble. But I mean, we're because most of the recording was done. Um, we haven't gone out and played, with the exception of one song on the record called Snowblind. We haven't played any of them live. So we'll play as much as we can, but people come to see us to hear, a core group of songs, which we still love playing and are happy to play them as well. So we'll figure that out. We just strike a balance. And that's something that is to be determined, I guess, to a certain degree. But and it may evolve and change as well. We may incorporate other songs, and it's that stuff often um, reveals itself as you start doing the shows.
And I actually like to hear that as much as I understand repeating the same show every night, which you're going to fall into that as further and further you get into the tour because you know what people are looking for. But I do like to hear a little bit of variety because I always like to be surprised. As someone that follows what's happening, sometimes I give myself too many spoilers before I go to a show. So I do like the unexpected thing or a little twist here and there in the sets. So I know that you're getting ready to kick off these tour dates, but for anyone that wants to listen to the new album in the meantime, Spotify has it, but you have it on quite a few different platforms. Is there any preferred platforms, or you're just happy for people to hear it?
Yeah, just happy for people to hear it. And we're pressing up a few CDs just because.
I like it.
Yeah.
There's definitely, as I mentioned, being a fan, but I also predating Maple Music, I would have worked at some record stores and retail,
Oh, nice.
and so I definitely have a passion for that as well. And there's quite a collection just behind this camera here right now. Probably a couple purchases from Maple back in the day as well. So
Nice.
you're giving
Well,
me a little bit of nostalgia.
also the cover, the back and the front and back covers of the album are photographs from Ron Macy, who played bass in the band was our original bass player, and he played from when the band started in 1987, 88 until 2012 when he retired. So we're thrilled to have Ronnie involved as well.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. And kudos for acknowledging the photographer. I try to do it as much as possible. I admit that I was a little late in the game for paying attention to that as well. Had to be on the receiving end because I do a little bit of photography now myself. And when I realized that how much credit actually matters on that end, I make sure that I give it where I can. So
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you for adding that note in there.
yeah, yeah.
And now for online presence, where you have obviously kept the band relevant all this time, where would you send people online to follow your journey going forward, tour dates, and the possibility of even more new material in the future? I'm sure 19 albums, you can't stop. You got to do at least 20.
That's right. Well, I don't think neither Josh nor I spend a lot of time on social media, but I believe the band has, Instagram and Facebook sites as well. What we really bring to that, the digital realm is we decided that we would start a podcast to talk about the band, and also to talk with friends,
Hmm.
part of our community. And that podcast is called Employee of the Myth. And so we just completed our fourth season. Uh, this current season highlights the other members of the band, as well as it culminates in a song by song episode of the new album from Josh and me. And yeah, so that's kind of how we feel most comfortable representing ourselves on social media. Uh, it's been a bit challenging because it's not what we got into.
Hmm.
It's not what we got into playing music to yeah, even talking about ourselves is you know we will do it when we have a new record, but we'd much rather talk about what other people are doing.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive. I can relate myself that if we're putting ourselves out there in front of the public, you would think that that was our goal, but it's not necessarily what we're trying to do. So I can relate in that way as well. Definitely encourage people to go out and listen to the podcast. I have a few episodes queued up here myself. Strangely enough, since I listen to so much music in preparation for these episodes and going to live shows, when I do things like go for a walk or go to the gym, I throw a podcast on and I listen to people talk instead. So I'm definitely going to be catching up on those. So hopefully I can get into season 4 in the very near future.
Great.
And for anyone else that's out there that hasn't already subscribed to East Coast DNA, I wouldn't mind if you went and hit subscribe now while you're watching this. And for anyone that hasn't seen Skydiggers live, there's tickets available now. Those shows are in the very near future. As you mentioned, they're doing a full little tour down here on the East Coast. So the dates are down below. Go out and get your tickets now. I know you could probably get tickets at the show, but aside from the fact that it might sell out and you might be out of luck, it's also really important to support artists out there by buying the tickets in advance. That's something that has kind of fell by the wayside the last couple of years, and I know that's one of the biggest things that artists are looking for out there these days is knowing that they have a show and that they're getting paid. Kind of relies on those tickets selling before the day of. So I'm sure that the we have Skydiggers here. You guys will be fine. But if anybody can go out there and buy their tickets in advance, it's much appreciated, not just by the artist, but by the venues as well. So it makes things a lot easier for everyone, and I encourage it. And now for anybody that's new to Skydiggers, or perhaps wasn't aware of the new album because it's just brand new, is there maybe a track that you would like to play off this episode with?
Sure. Let's play the title track, "Dreams and Second Chances."
Amazing. So we'll play off with that here today. I definitely recommend that people also check out the lead single "Snowblind." And there's another song, and you're gonna have to forgive me. I don't remember the full track name. Is it Mama's something?
Start again.
I'm trying to think of
Oh,
what it.
Mother's Pocket.
That's it, Mother's
Yeah,
Pocket.
yeah,
Mother's. Yeah.
That kind of for me, if anyone wants to go out there and dig into it online after this episode, that was one of the examples where it kind of changed a little bit and came back. The
Mhm.
album definitely flows smooth, but it really made me want to get out there and see this live performance, because I like to see the transitions for the style as well, and everybody having their own little features. So there's 3 tracks to check out. We'll end with one here now, and I encourage everyone to go out there, get tickets, and follow these guys online. Thanks again, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Talk to you.
Feel all the sadness in this world that any boy or girl should have to live in fear. How come I feel like such a fool? 'Cause everything I do keeps reminding me of you. Right, so why don't you? How come I feel like such a fool? I believe in dreams and second chances. I believe in holding on to hope. So why don't Are you leaving? 'Cause I doubted you. The kids are fully grown, and now there's just us two. I will always sing for you, 'cause that's just what I do. Always something breaking us in two. I wanna do this right, so why don't you? How come I feel like such a fool? I believe in dreams and second chances. Sadness in this world that any boy or girl should have to live in fear.